Judith, you are an expert on the topic of conversational intelligence. And one thing I've found is, especially difficult conversations, people's instinctive tendency is to avoid it. Just don't do it. Any stories, examples, ideas for people related to this dealing with difficult conversations?
And I'm sure you want me to give them an answer of how to address that difficult conversation.
Exactly,
right.
yes.
So I have many leaders that I work with. This happened to be a leader in Guatemala, and we did an assessment on him, and out of the 49 questions, avoiding difficult conversations was his lowest score, and he knew it. And he would try to practice it, and sometimes when he would tell himself how he was going to talk about it, he actually made it worse. Because the story that he would tell inside would be how somebody else was a problem, and he would then put words around that he was a problem and he was impacting people in a bad way and he wasn't nice, and the more he told the story, the more he had adjectives and things that made it hard for him to even say it. You know, like he couldn't even look the guy in the eye because the way he told the story was difficult.
Yes.
Difficult for him and difficult for the person. And so he started to think about how to frame, or what I called reframe, what he wanted to say from complaining and judgmental words, which is what was getting him upset. He had what's called cortisol already. He was upset and fearful.
Yes.
And that's what he would be doing to the other person. So he reframed the conversation to how the person wasn't bad, in fact, that the person was growing. They had things to learn. These are some of the things that they could begin to focus on as they grew as a leader. And so these are the things that the person wasn't doing and wasn't doing well. But now he framed it in a beautiful box that talked about how this person could do it better and add it to his existing toolkit of leadership skills. And the smile on the guy's face, which he had never seen before because he always did the bad way, you know, the judgmental way, was amazing. And that reinforced for him the ability to move from avoiding it to actually being willing to say it and experiment with it. And for him, it was a turning point.
And that is a fantastic example, and it's related to something I do called feed forward. Rather than let's make you relive a humiliating past, why don't we talk about creating a positive future? Probably the most difficult conversation you're ever going to have is when you have to dismiss someone. You have to let them go. Any ideas for our viewers on that one?
I have two quick ideas for that one.
Great.
One is that when you have a leader, a CEO of a company, who really has a feel for what everybody's capable of doing, so they know their people well, and they also know their strategy well, clearly, and they know whether they fit, those people then become attuned to watching the executives in the organization to see if that happens, if they're matched up with the goals of the company and they're really in tune, right? And they can also feel when they're not in tune. And I teach leaders that so that they stay in touch with what's going on. Sometimes they're going to have to let somebody go because they are not in tune or they're not doing things that are having a positive impact on the company.
Right.
When a leader gets taught to follow and track those two things, something magic can happen.
Good.
And that is that I've seen leaders literally walk down the hall to go to talk to somebody who they know that they have to let go, but have the person actually walking down the hall at the same time to visit with them to say they realize that they're not in sync with the company and it's time for them to go. And so the behind the scenes important takeaway is make sure that you tune in as a leader to really what's the feel of the company, what's going on, and to observe which people are in tune with you. And then you know and they know. And when this guy walked down the hall, it was like, oh my God, we both knew it. So the pain wasn't there, right? And they did what they both had to do.
Fantastic example.